Hey guys, so I'm continuing my series on backpacking basics, and another question I get asked quite often is where do you sleep? So this is one of the many options of where you would sleep on the Appalachian Trail during a through hike. This is a shelter in the Smokies. This is Derek's Knob shelter. It's quite a large one. You got a nice little skylight pattern here, and basically you would just set up your gear, and you get in, and you sleep right about here for the night. Now this shelter is listed as a 12-man, and I think that's about accurate. So you can imagine a bunch of little bedrolls, little hikers lined up there like sardines. And in the Smokies in particular, they're really adamant about using the shelters to try to be low impact on the environment. So when you get your $20 through hiker permit, that's one of the things you agree to here is to utilize the shelters. And then if the shelter is really full, which usually means 15 people, not 12, then you're authorized to go pitch your tent. But they're really nice. Shelters in the Smokies are really nice. They're pretty bomb-proof. They maintain them really well. There's not a lot of leaks. A lot of them have these covered porch areas, which I will swing around and show you guys. Boom, boom. So you can actually process your meals and cook your dinner. It can be pouring down rain, and it's enough space that everybody can kind of move around. And you can tell people that have been on the trail a while because they don't bump into each other in the shelters. Kind of the newbies, you can spot them out pretty fast, just because of that. So that's one option. Another option would be your tent, your bivy, your hammock, whatever the shelter that you're carrying. That's your choice. I'm a tarp and bivy guy myself. I really like that setup. It's very lightweight, simple, and inexpensive. But I've tried tents and I've done hammocks before. And then the other place you would stay would be a hostel in town, which is a low budget hotel, basically. Not as much privacy as a hotel. Oftentimes it's run out of somebody's house, so you might be in a basement that has been converted into a bunk room where you might have, I don't know, 16 bunk beds on a really big basement, something like that. All sorts of hostels. They're as unique as the owners and as unique as the people you meet on the trail. So some hostels fit people better than other hostels. You have the party hostels, you have the more laid back hostels, you have church hostels, which have become kind of my preferred hostel of choice because they're usually very inexpensive. People that run them tend to be very professional and very kind. They just ask that you do things like not smoke or drink alcohol on their property, which are pretty easy rules to follow. I stick with those hostels because I know I'll actually be able to sleep for the night. Kind of the party hostels, it's just not my scene. It was at one time, but it's not anymore, so no judgments there for me. But those are nice. And then, of course, you have your standard classic hotel room. And on the AT, there's a plethora of places that you can go get a room for the night for a very low rate, sometimes under $55 for a single person. And they're pretty cool with you packing, 4 people to a room, sometimes more than that. Always find the best policy is to be really upfront with the hotel owner on exactly how many people you're packing into the room. A lot of the hotels on the trail consider 4 people in a double room to be standard. One of the things they don't tell you about the AT is that quite often in hotel rooms you'll end up sharing a bed with another person. But after sleeping on a 20-inch wide sleeping pad for several weeks to months on end, it's very easy to share a double bed with somebody and never bump into them. But it's really fun. I like splitting hotel rooms with people because you do have that a little bit more privacy than a hostel. Tends to be a little cleaner than a hostel. Tends to be cheaper than a hostel, and you get that camaraderie. Sometimes you do need your own space, but I feel like camaraderie is a really beautiful thing about the trail. But this, most of the time, is where I would sleep. A lot of people avoid shelters because they believe that they're dirty and that norovirus stays here, which there's some truth to that. But for me personally, I enjoy the shelters, especially when there's less than 5 people. I prefer to stay in the shelter because that means I literally just have to set up my sleeping pad. I just have to inflate my sleeping pad, inflate my pillow, and put my sleeping bag out. And then in the morning, boom, 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 I just have 3 things to pack up and I'm on the trail versus a tent or a wet tent if the weather rolled in. So this is my preferred shelter option on the AT. I think the completion rate for the AT would be a lot lower without these shelters here because sometimes it's just nice to get out of the rain for a bit and eat a Cliff Bar without it getting soggy because you're getting dumped on with rain. So I really love the shelters. I love them a lot. Some people do not. To each their own. But yeah, so the next video I will make will be, what do you eat on the trail? Because that is a question I get asked all the time. So I'll go through what I eat. I'm actually traveling with a vegan right now, so it might be cool to see what her options are on the trail, and we'll go from there. So thank you guys for watching.